Hey up and welcome to the strategy sessions. I'm Andi Jarvis, your host, and today I want to introduce you to a slightly different show. We've still got all the usual stuff. We've got a top tip about equality and diversity, but the guest is a little bit different today. I'm joined by Mike Winnet from Ion Productions. Most of the guests so far have been in kind of senior marketing roles, talking about kind of big picture things for their organizations. Mike's slightly different. Mike, probably by his own description, wouldn't necessarily call himself a marketer at all. He runs a YouTube channel, which has got 55,000 subscribers. And he does, I suppose you might call them exposé videos of contrepreneurs, of people who promise riches, usually using digital channels, and deliver very, very little in value. So yeah, we're different sort of interview, but a really, really great chat. Mike is easy to interview, brilliant to interview, and really gets under the skin of his videos and talks to you about the process behind what makes a contrepreneur. So that's coming up in a moment. There's a couple of other things we need to get through first before we get to Mike's interview. So obviously, first of all, let me talk to you about the sponsors. Again, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see the beautiful pink packaging of Moyi coffee. Had a few people in the last couple of weeks get in touch on Twitter to tell me that they bought some of the coffee from Moyi, which really brings joy to my heart because that's the whole point. I talk about it and hopefully people then go and buy it. They are a fair chain coffee company. They are using blockchain to try and leave more money in the countries where they buy their coffee and help the growers get to a living income. And they're using the blockchain to connect the drinker, me, you, to the coffee maker. So it's a really great coffee and different flavors. Dip in, have a try, see which ones you like. The triple blend, this one, is my favorite. The double's good. The dark is probably a little bit too intense for me, but that's just my taste buds, right? So give it a go, give it a try, see what you like. You'll find them at Moyi Coffee, Moyee coffee.ie or .co.uk. Easy to order online. They do a few other bits and bobs as well, coffee machines, that type of stuff. Just go on, get an order in, test it, you'll love it. Please do. And tell them I sent you as well, say hi. So yeah, thanks Moyi Coffee for sponsoring the show. If you regular viewers, if you know me or you know any of the stuff that I do, you know that recently I've been talking a lot about equality, diversity, Black Lives Matter, that type of thing. So I'm going to keep doing that, and we're going to keep talking about Black Lives Matter, about the inequalities in the system, about companies being anti-racist. There is a panel I'm doing soon to talk about it, and in September going to be doing another event, hopefully. Still a few things to iron out about that, but once it's ready, I'll announce what that's going to be. But I thought, talking about this a lot, so it'd be good to get someone who is an expert in the field to come on and do the top tip. We don't often talk, it's been very sort of marketing focused, but this is a bit more organizational level. But even if you're just thinking, oh, I'm in marketing, this isn't for me, do listen because there's some really useful practical advice. I can't introduce the top tip without singing the theme tune. So if you're ready, we're time for a T.O.P.T.I.P. T.O.P.T.I.P. So today it's Ineke who's going to talk to you about equality and diversity and inclusion. Ineke.
Hi, my name is Ineke Houtenbos. I am the lead trainer and consultant for IH Training Consultancy. And my top tips today are for companies who want to create a meaningful equality, diversity, and inclusion strategy. Diversity is important, but it has become a little bit of an empty term recently because it really only denotes the number of people that with protected characteristics that might be in an organization. What we really want to move towards is inclusion. And that speaks more to the quality of that experience. Are their voices being heard on a strategic level and at all the different levels within your organization? And equity really talks about understanding and addressing systemic barriers that might be in place for people who have the protected characteristics. So that could be within recruitment, it could be within professional development, it could be in those kinds of aspects of your business. So the top tips today are: one, understanding the three cases. So we have a moral case, we have a legal case, but we most certainly also do have a business case. And it's about understanding what those three mean to your company. Second is keeping it real, looking at your organization with a critical eye and seeing where is your company most diverse. Is it in your highest paid staff or is it in your lowest paid staff? And what might that mean in your organization? Finally, let's lead from the front. It's really, really important to recognize that culture change can sometimes be challenging. So it's important that we lead by example through policy and through strategy. And if you want to know a little bit more about any of these top tips, you can contact me, Ineke Houtenbos, at ihtnc@gmail.com. Thank you.
Ineke, thanks very much for that T.O.P.T.I.P. There's a link to Ineke's details and her email address in the show notes. So just look around. If you're on YouTube, it's in the comments beneath. If you're listening on your podcasting service, it's just in the show notes. But if you want to get in touch with her, IH Training and Consultancy, Ineke is INEKE, Houtenbos, HOUTNBOS @gmail.com. Please do get in touch. There's all sorts of great different training offers that she's got that will help your organization really start to understand how they can be better at this type of thing. So she does unconscious bias training, workshops, equality, diversion, inclusion awareness, inclusion and belonging, and cultural awareness in leadership. So please do get in touch if you think your organization needs help with that. So thank you very much again. Now, typically, I've been doing a section and segment about asking questions or about moving things forward, but the interview with Mike is quite a long one. It's a bit longer than usual, so it's about an hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to keep my bit quite short today. And it's going to be about YouTube more than anything else. And Mike talks about how he grew his YouTube channel to 55-ish thousand followers and growing, right? So by the time you watch this, it could be even 60. Who knows? But the one key thing that Mike says about how he grew the channel was he focused on content, not the growth hacks, not this is how you can hack your Instagram channel to get your YouTube channel, to get more fans, more followers, more subscribers. He talks about just putting out great content. Now, in the last couple of weeks, I've been talking more about asking questions and how you should ask the right questions and do that sort of thing. If you're at an organization, so it's probably a little bit easier for people like me running an organization that's just me, or Mike running a small organization that he runs. Sometimes when you're in a bigger organization, just putting out great content means different things to different people, which brings us back to asking the right questions. You've got to get the right people in the room and ask the right questions so you can understand what you're trying to achieve. Because great content for you might not be great content for your customers. And that's the key thing. Ask the questions of the right people, but make sure it's focused on your audience, because that's the important thing. You are not making content in most organizations anyway, just because you like it. It does work in some organizations. Mike puts out content that he likes and other people like it. And there's a lot of sense in that. And there's a lot of good things that can happen from that. This podcast, put it together in a way that I like. If other people like it, that's fantastic. But when you work for a bigger organization, that doesn't always hold true. You can't just say, okay, well, I like it, so that's fine. What you have to do is make sure you've asked the right questions, you've brought in the right people, and you've talked to that so that you can help understand the customers and that you've got this content that focuses on them. If you do that, good content, great content, that's how your channel grows. You want to get to 50,000 subscribers? Hell, I do. I'm on 54. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button. I do want to get there, but I'm going to do it by doing the good content thing. I'm not going to go down the hacks. I'm not going to start watching Gary Vee videos about how you should turbocharge your YouTube growth. Not me. Good content, good things will happen. Right, enough. Quick one this week, because I want to get to Mike's interview. I stumbled across Mike on LinkedIn. Somebody had shared a video about the Contrepreneur formula. I love talking about consumer buying behavior, and I love talking about psychology, persuasion, and how we can, as marketers, use those tools to help to make our copy better, to make our processes better, and all those sorts of things. The Contrepreneur formula talks about all of that, about how all those things are stacked together, about using persuasion and persuasion, about using scarcity and fear of missing out, and kind of all of the tools that marketers use in their toolbox. But entrepreneurs use it in a specific way and sell products that have a spurious value or are just, let's be honest, utter shit. So I found it really interesting to watch, and it's an expose. He goes behind the scenes, he goes to a lot of these events, and he goes to find out exactly what is happening, with these events and what people are doing and why. Now, there's a link to the Contrepreneur Formula video in the show notes. There's a link to Mike's channel. Please do watch it because he continues to do these exposes and to look at what's happening in that industry. But I find it really interesting watching the video, and then, as you'll find out in the interview, talking to Mike on the back of that to find out a little bit more about what he thinks, because he's not, by his own admission, he likes marketing. He's not a classically trained marketer or anything like that, but he likes marketing. He's interested in it, and he's interested in how it works. So really interesting points he makes, and also he's just really easy to listen to. There is a little bit of banging in the background and parts of the interview. There's some work going on in his office, which we just couldn't avoid. We couldn't get him into a place with strong enough Wi-Fi to do it any other way. So please bear with that, but have a listen. I really enjoyed this one. As I think you can tell, by the way, I laughed most of the way through it. Here we go. Today's guest on the podcast is YouTube sensation and the funniest man on LinkedIn. That's my introduction for him, not his own bio. Mike Winnet. Mike, how are you doing?
Pretty good, thanks. Thanks for reading out the bio I gave you to introduce me.
Listen, LinkedIn is, it could well be the greatest social media platform ever. Unfortunately, it is populated by people who are just absolute idiots. So it's always nice to see your brutal honesty on LinkedIn, and also piss-taking of many other people on there as well. Really enjoy that.
Yeah, it's mad. Do you know what? I say it's about LinkedIn. It's got an identity crisis. It doesn't quite know what it is, or people don't know how to act on there. And it's a nice kind of, I don't know what you call it, juxtaposition. It might be the word. It makes me sound intelligent. But where you've got people that think it's just for CVs and job hunting, that, you know, they were on it like 10 years ago. And then you've got people on there that think they can share their dinner. No one gives a fuck about that. But it's funny how you've got the two worlds have collided. And we're still trying to navigate sort of, is it Facebook like? Is it Facebook for professional wankers? Is it for finding leads for your business? Is it for personal branding? But it's been good for me, if I'm honest, both professionally and personally, I would say.
Good. Well, look, I'll get into LinkedIn in a little bit more detail when we talk about promotion of some of the work that you do. But I want to start off with the video that is probably your biggest video so far, the one that I first came across that helped me introduce me to you, which is the Contrepreneur Formula. So there's links in the show notes to all the videos that we'll mention. So just look around, click on it and watch it. It's definitely worth your time. But do you want to just explain, first of all, what the Contrepreneur Formula is, and then sort of talk about the background to the video and the how you sort of exposed what goes on at these events?
Yeah, so really the Contrepreneur Formula boiled right down is just the sort of step-by-step process, that sort of marketing and sales process that a lot of these online gurus and sort of selling people that sell from the stage in the wealth creation sector use to get people sat in the crowd to buy. So you will go there to an event. Sometimes it's a free event, sometimes it's a paid event, and it's the process that you will be put through from beginning to end, till you hand over your money and sign up to their promise of usually riches, wealth, health, or happiness. It's normally one of those three things. And really, you've got feelings telling you it sounds too good to be true, but they take you through that sales process and you end up spending your money with them anyway. So it's just I documented that process really of seeing numerous different people. It was 12 different people that I went and saw and listened to, and noticed similarities in the language, the stories, and the tactics that are used. And just really for my own benefit, because I thought I was going mad, just put it in a video just to let other people see it, and it did quite well on YouTube and LinkedIn. And I had a sort of as benefited my life massively in terms of letting me do stuff like this, but also causes a lot of hassle as well. I get a lot of shit for it. But yeah, so that's all it was really, just my documentation of their sales process and marketing strategy.
So there's a number of different elements to this, and things that this is a marketing podcast. So there's lots of things in there that marketers would recognize as tools and tactics that they use. So things like using discounting or time limited offers. So I run a public speaking course. I launched the course. There's a certain price for it, and there's a time limited early bird offer that you can get in, and you can get a price cheaper if you do it that way. So things like that, or establishing authority, speaking at conferences, doing targeted social media ads and things. So lots of the tactics in the formula, a lot of marketers would use. what do you see as the difference between sort of marketing that's honest and open and the Contrepreneur formula?
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this. And this is one of the things that annoys me the most a little bit in the comments. I had one recently on that video yesterday. And I almost want to sit there and, break down their comment and say, this is why you're wrong. But the actual tactics work. They are time-served, proven marketing tactics that work. And if they are ethical examples of the tactics, I don't have a problem with them. And this is one thing that really I shouldn't have to say. I just assumed that people would understand that ethical examples of a testimonial is a good thing. Like, use testimonials to sell a good product. If you're using ethical examples of this formula to sell an actual good product that works to the right target market that would benefit from the products, that's all good. So an example might be, I might sell a property training course, and this is one of the biggest industries or sectors that have either supported my work or given me the most stick. Let's just say, so it's how to become financially free in property is the example. Now, if I'm doing an advert that says, so it's a targeted ad and it's no money down, and I target people that have liked or shared or seen, a Facebook page where it's about debt management, I am knowingly now targeting someone that hasn't got money and isn't really got sort of basic financial understanding. Mm-hmm. So now I know that I am targeting someone that probably isn't going to be successful in property, especially using words like no money down, because the reality is you need money to do this. Even though it's called no money down, you still need money to pay for solicitors' fees and searches and all these different things. So that, in my mind, is the wrong product targeting the right person. However, I could be another property trainer that trains people how to go from £10,000 a month to £100,000 a month in property investments, and I could target an ad to people that are already property investors that have got access to funds and have a basic understanding of property investing. And even though they are exactly the same tactics, one of them, in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, mm-hmm. is unethical, because you are knowingly targeting someone with a product and promising them unrealistic results. If you've got no money, the chance of you becoming financially free in an industry you know nothing about is minute, than targeting someone that has got some level of ability, access to funds, and the sort of acumen and skill set. You're turning a good person into great. That's an easier journey to take someone on. Mm-hmm. And while you might not have the same size group to target, your success rate will be better. And this is one of the things that I think is the biggest difference. Is at each stage of this sales process, I could give you a good example and a bad example, really. And let's take testimonials as one. So I've been on your course, I've been to your public speaking course, I went through your training, and now I am a successful public speaker and I make money through public speaking. I would then go and say, here is my 5-star testimonial. This is my genuine experience of this course. You can then go and use that in your marketing. Great. I'd be happy then if someone contacted me and you could be open and honest and tell people, Mike Winnet's one of my students, speak to him. People could come to me wherever they want to. Have you ever done this training course? Oh yeah, I did it. It changed my life. That's a genuine testimonial. That's good. That's a great thing for marketing. I've been at an event where the guru on stage has told a room full of about 500 people who have never been on this guy's course, by the way. This is part of his sales funnel. Who here would like to have one-to-one mentoring with me? Everybody says yes, because obviously now you want to get, you want to be side by side, shoulder to shoulder, step by step with the main guru. This is the guy you believe in. To qualify for this, I'm going to give one person in this room free access to my mentoring one-to-one for a year. What you have to do is go onto Trustpilot right now, get your phones out and leave a 5-star review for my one-to-one mentoring and say it was the best experience you've had. Are we all ready to do this? 3, 2, 1. He now gets another 400 5-star reviews on his Trustpilot. for a product that none of these people that have just left that review have ever experienced or taken. Now, do I think reviews are bad? No. Do I think a genuine 5-star review from someone that's been successful is a good thing? Yes. Do I think that guru's a bit of a sly bastard for getting 500 people that have never been to his course to leave a 5-star review, which then bumps down any 1-star reviews that he genuinely has had from disgruntled real customers? 100% I do.
Yeah.
That's one example. Do I think scarcity is bad? No. You know, if something is a genuine limited edition product, I'm into trainers. If Nike bring out a limited edition trainer and they only made 100 pairs, that's cool. I know there's only 100 pairs there, and if they all get bought up, they'll be sold on eBay for a higher price. So I understand how that works and the power of scarcity. But when I see the same guru say, I've only got 20 left of a digital product, it's a digital product. You've not only got 20 left. This is fake scarcity, especially when you then go and offer pricing is a great one. So it's a discounted price, but it's only available at this price for the first 10 that runs to the back of the stage. But if you're selling it to 30, 40, 50, that's not a great marketing tactic. That's you lying. You've just lied, but you've lied over something stupid, because if it was a genuinely discounted product and people could see the value, they would have bought it anyway. So again, discounts I think are a great way to sell products. In my own business, sometimes if someone wants to buy 3 of my products or 5 of my products, I will discount the price. That's good. But I also sell that product at the price that I advertised at. So that's another example. If you're telling me that Dan Locke's copywriting course is worth 30 grand and it usually sells at 30 grand, show me someone that's paid 30 grand. Show me on your website where it's listed for 30 grand, because I've never seen that product for that price yet in every single one of your live webinars, which is a recorded webinar with a live question and answer bit at the end. Again, it's a silly lie to me. It's just them. It's just shit examples, and I can go like even worse. So I've seen the same 6 people get up at the same guru's event, run into the back of the room, pretending to be an excited customer. Now, that's not a good marketing tactic. That is literally, what was that program called? The Real Hustle. That's like the Real Hustle street. You know, that's how bad that is and basic that is. So, but then, real, genuine, excited people run into the back of the room, that's great for your business. Film them, that's cool. But paying people to pretend to be excited people, to sit in amongst the crowd, to get you whipped up and run to the back of the room is bad. But I get so much stick from marketers that seem to take what I say like literally. When I say a contrepreneur, that's what I call them, that anyone that ends their price in a 7 is a contrepreneur, I didn't mean that literally. It was just a humorous observation about their pricing strategies, which to me shows either a lack of imagination. You're all following the same Russell Brunson formula. Like most marketers, I say to them, I often say this to people on LinkedIn: why pick a 7? Like, why do you pick £47 or why do you pick £97? And he went, and most of them say, oh, I don't know, it's just what people do. Like, they don't even know the psychology of it. It's like, and it's that annoys me. It's like, why not 95? Why not 99? You're not going to sell percentage. Like, it's minute, the differences between people buying at 99. If you give them value, it doesn't matter what the end number ends in. So, like, I love marketing. Like, marketing is one of the things that I like the most. There's a lot of marketers that I like their content. I like what they do. But it's good examples and bad examples of these strong, powerful tactics that I don't agree with.
Yeah, I think for me, you've hit the nail on the head there. It's not even the tactics on their own or the way they're stacked. It's the reality of it. Is it real? Does that discount? Is it ethical? Are you selling something that is actually shit at the end?
It's the intent of the person doing it as well. Like, so if I know I've got a product here and this is a genuine thing that someone's trying to sell me, and it blows my mind. When I say it to you now, you'll start laughing. You'll think, well, why would anyone fall for this? And I don't fucking know. Like, it blows my mind that people think this is real, by the way. So I went to a guru's course And he honestly, his first thing he tried to sell us to was a tripwire, and it came after 8 hours. So we've had 8 hours of like priming from other speakers. You've changed my life, the bullshit. So the first tripwire was, I've got a business plan here. It is the blueprints of business, and it works in any sector, in any country, with any what was the thing you said? Any sector in any country, and for any business, basically. It's usually £2,000. I usually say for £2,000, but today only it's £397. It is the blueprint to grow your business. Bearing in mind, there's a room full of like 120 people here, and I don't know what your business is, by the way, but it's the blueprint to grow your business to be worth £10 million in 8 months. Right. So I'm there, and I am of average intelligence, and I'm thinking, you don't know me, you don't know what my business is, and you don't know what my sector is, but you've got this, what do they call them, cookie cutter? You've got like a cookie cutter business plan that's going to grow my business into 10 million. So I'm looking around thinking, this is nuts. But 70 odd people get up, run to the back of the room and sign up. And I said to the woman that was sat next to me, so she actually went and signed up, and she came back, and I said to her, what have you signed up for? And she said, oh, I can't believe it, £10 million in 8 months. And I just said, out of interest, what do you do as a business? And she says, I'm a VA, virtual assistant.
Oh, no.
And I said, all right. So how many is there of you? And she went, oh, it's just me, from home. Like, I work around my kids, like, part-time, like 9 to 3. And I was like, right. I said, how much you charge an hour? And she was like, oh, how can you ask this? So I'm just trying to work out how in 8 months you're going to grow this with this business plan.
Yeah.
So it's like £25 an hour. So it's like, right, so how many hours a day do you think you'll need to work to make
10 million quid?
But then she started getting annoyed at me for just asking a sensible question and using logic. I said, I don't know the numbers, but at this rate now, you're going to need to employ 200 other virtual assistants, have them all working for you, taking, how are you going to manage to do this? But he sold loads of these, and then his next upsell was to a personal branding course. So he went business plan first at 397, £2,000, usually 12 grand. Well, I'll say two grand. It was 1997, of course. Yep. Was then on to personal branding. So now it was going to be, this woman was now going to be the most famous VA in her niche. And it was like, so now she was going to do this £2,000 course from this guy. And then the final package was for £5,000, you could go and talk at one of his events in the future. And this is the bit that blew my mind. So you then are actually paying to be lead gen for this guy's like con or scam. Like, you never got a £10 million business in 8 months. You're not the number one VA in your sector in the world, but you're still now convincing other people because you're on stage now at this guy's event in the next town that we're going to. You're now seen as an example of someone that this product has worked for when none of the products have worked for you. You are actually a victim of the scam and now part of the scam recruiting the next people. And I know hundreds of these people that actually are in the organizations for the gurus that they now are a mentor in. So you're a new guy that signs up. I'm 6 months third along the process. Let's call property as the best example. I'm not financially free through property, but now I'm getting paid because for this same property company to train you. But I didn't even know what a no money down deal was myself 3 months ago or 6 months ago. But now I'm teaching you how to do it. So it's the blind leading the blind. And there's only one person getting rich quick from this. And that's the guy at the top that you're all promised you're going to get one-to-one attention from, when the reality is, how can you give one-to-one support, or how can you give one-to-one training to when you're constantly on the road at these events? And here's the irony of it all. We've all seen these adverts. Most of them say, working 9 to 5 is so old school. What kind of idiot works 40 hours a week? You can work 4 hours a week from it. The irony is, they're working 9 to 5, more than 9 to 5. They're working 50, 60 hours a week, telling you you don't need to. They're doing the very thing they're telling you shouldn't do to make their money. Like, and people can't see this.
There's nothing new in the world, is there? 'Cause, I mean, this is just the classic pyramid scheme, or Ponzi scam, as the Yanks call it. But it's just the same, isn't it? You're selling the rights to sell something, to sell something, to sell something. And although my favorite thing about watching your YouTube videos, though, is that because of the way they're tagged, in between your videos, all you get is ads for people selling this shite.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. Like, it's funny. But for my revenue, it's absolute shite, because it means most people skip them or don't watch them or don't buy the product. So YouTube couldn't give me a worse advert for my content. They could give me anything but those adverts, and I might actually make some money.
You make some money from it. So, but tell me, so people will be watching this or listening to this, and the thing that's going through their minds at the minute, I'm going to guess, is why does anyone fall for this shit? Because, you know, as you describe it, I'm killing myself laughing. I'm watching behind my fingers going, you know, this VA needs to spend, she's got to work 100 hours just to pay for the 2 bits of shit that she's bought that aren't worth anything. And it's not that people are daft. And, you know, I have some theories about why people fall for it. What's your thoughts on why do people? Because it's not just a room full of idiots, is it? This isn't just, you know, everyone goes, oh, it's the thickos who fall for this, but it's not.
Yeah, no, I've seen very intelligent people get scammed. And do you know a great example of this is, you know, did you ever watch Fire Festival? The documentary was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good, wasn't it? But the mad thing about that was he was really running a similar kind of scam, defrauding money off people from super successful millionaires and business people that are smart people. It's not got anything to do with your IQ, I don't think. I just think it's where you are at the moment. And so that's one thing. So it could be you might be unhappy at work, but most people are. You might think you're worth more in terms of money. Most people are. So we've all got it in us to be scammed. I've been the victim of it even while doing this at some stages. Even though I know what I'm looking for, there's that bit of hope inside of everyone where you just are curious. And that's why I bought 3 crypto mining rigs. I could have done the experiment using 1, but there was that bit that thought, what if? And it's that. So it's more about where you are as a person financially. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's you're vulnerable, but equally then, once you go down this rabbit hole, you are the content you consume. And as soon as you start looking for these things, because of how the internet is made and how your phones listen to you and how cookies are on your phone and adverts, you watch one of these videos and then before you know it, every other advert in your Facebook feed, on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on YouTube is these things, and that starts to become your reality, and you get a slightly distorted version of what's true. So my kids think that you make millions of pounds on YouTube. I've never told them that, but that is the impression they get because they watch YouTube all the time. I know 21-year-old lads, 22-year-old lads that I play football with that genuinely think that Forex trading is going to make them financially free in 90 days. Like, they really believe that. Mm-hmm. They really, because they've seen 2 adverts and then they start seeing more adverts and that becomes their reality. They think all 23-year-olds drive a green Lamborghini, and the fact that they're not then makes them feel bad and look for shortcuts to achieve those things. But what I honestly think the real reason is, and it gets a bit deep now, I suppose, and I don't want it to, but it's 2020. Everything's online. And let's be honest, life is shit, isn't it? This has probably been the worst year that we can remember. Back-to-back things going wrong. And I'm talking, you know, like coronavirus, Black Lives Matter, you've got George Floyd, you've got like inequality, you've got issues with people's gender and sex and beliefs and religion. It all seems to be like amplified this year. In the olden days, when I mean olden days, I'm talking 50, 60, 70 years ago, 100 years ago, life was simpler. We didn't see these things because really your life was pretty much planned out for you. You were born in your town. Your career path in life was pretty simple. You worked in the local coal mine, or you might have joined the military. You might have. It was almost like your life was mapped out. So your expectations and what you perceived to be achieving in life was far lower, I think. And there was that sort of like family unit. And I don't necessarily mean family like your mum and dad or whatever. I mean, just like you join the military and you're part of a family, a part of a group, and there was a structure and you got promoted. You joined the police force, the services, you joined the bank, and you worked your way through the bank. And that was seen as we've got none of that now. We've not got any of that now. We don't have jobs for lives. We don't have the army. We don't have those types of the coal mines. I mean, when I was younger, everyone went and worked in a call center in Warrington. That's what everyone did. And it was like, so it was kind of like mapped out for you. And then you worked there and thought, well, this isn't like me. I'm gonna, do my own thing. But we don't have that now. I think young men in particular more than women, because, and I'm saying that from experiences, the majority at these events are men, I would say. And that's just anecdotal. I mean, I don't know the actual figures, but just being at these events, especially young, they want something more. They see Instagram, they see social media, and they really think this guy might be true. So they look for, they don't want to hear about John Smith, who's the haulage, like the local haulage guy that's got 20 trucks on the road, that's got a nice business. He probably makes £1 million a year, wife and kids at home, keeps himself to himself. That isn't as aspirational to them anymore. They see Dan Locke in a Bentley promising you, like, I made 10 million, I made 30 million, I was doing social media marketing, working 4 hours. They want that to be true, and they aspire to be these people rather than genuine local business people that keep themselves to themselves and are quiet and are quietly going about their business. And I think it's because we don't have a clear path or sort of like positive role models are really like, but because you don't see them anymore, because they're not shouting the loudest. They're not Grant Cardone with a yacht. Everything seems to be on steroids now. And I mean that both in the fitness industry and the business industry. Everything seems to be brash, loud, who can, you know what I mean? And I think that's the genuine problem. I think we've all fallen for that, especially not so much my generation. I don't know how old you are, but I'm 36. But if I speak to any of my brother's a lot younger than me, but my brother's friends, their view of the world and what they deem as successful and what they deem as normal even is so far. They think a 4 bedrooms, like detached house is what you go for your first house. Where we were, you move into a 2 up, 2 down or a 1 bedroom flat, you graft, you save, you work hard and you make your way up. These guys are like, I want the best car on lease. That wasn't an option when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. You bought a G-Reg Ford Fiesta for like 300 quid. Like that was the reality. Yeah. These people are thinking like, I want an RS3 or I want an RS4 as their first car.
Yeah.
At 18, 19, it's like, that's the problem. I think we are missing some traditional rules that we know work. It's like, do you know what I often say? I've probably gone off at a tangent here, but I might be jumping ahead as well. When anybody ever asks me about these things, I always say the same question to them. You name me the 3 most successful business people you can think of off the top of your head. And pretty much everybody answers the same 3. It will be, I know he's dead now, but Steve Jobs is normally one that gets mentioned. Jeff Bezos or Bezos, whatever you want to call him, might be another one. Elon Musk might be another one. Richard Branson, Mark Zuckerberg. And I'd say, isn't it interesting that all of those people that you mentioned do not sell a course, never tell you there's one secret thing that you're missing to be successful. They never say they work 4 hours a week from the beach. They never post pictures of themselves with their watch in front of their Lamborghini steering wheel. And these are the people that you know and accept or acknowledge as being genuinely successful business people. Yet, you want to go and find people that are telling you that they achieved that thing, because they even use them as the example of success, but offering a shortcut and ways to not do the bits that we all know. We all acknowledge that they worked really hard in a niche. They owned their own business. They weren't in partnership with different people where they're earning 3% from affiliate sales from this person and they hold your stock. We all know and accept, and they're the examples you've given. You never said, The world's most successful business people, it's Caleb, the 23-year-old Forex trader I've just seen on YouTube, because you don't know who the fuck Caleb is. You didn't know who he was 2 days ago. And you can do this with any industry. Let's just take bodybuilding, right? Who do we know is like the world's most famous bodybuilder? Let's just say pretty much Arnold Schwarzenegger, who most people our age is going to say.
Yep.
Did Arnie sell pills telling you that he achieved it in 90 days? No, Arnie's there saying, I train twice a day, fucking 6 days a week.
All right, so if I could do,
so we know that bit works, but then we go and spend our time looking for this bit where we're looking for, hey, this YouTuber who I've never heard of before is now selling a pill that says he's got a six-pack in 30 days. So we know this bit works. Why don't you want to do that bit? The Rock, his advice is be the hardest worker in the room. And The Rock's actually succeeded in 2 or 3 different fields. You know, in sport, he could have played American football. Wrestling is probably the most, or one of the most successful wrestlers of all time. Then he's one of the biggest movie stars of all time, highest paid actor in Hollywood. Like, what's the one thing, what's his one secret skill? Be the hardest worker in the room. It's not a secret. He's giving it up for free. Just fucking work hard. Arnie's done it in 3 fields. Not only has he been successful in bodybuilding, more successful than most people would ever be, 7 times Mr. Olympia. He's also done it in politics and in movies. Does he ever say shortcut? No. Do any of these headline these get rich quick courses? No. Would you sit next to any of these people at one of these events? No. Do any of them tell you it's, you know, here's a shortcut, here's a hack? No. Like, so why I don't get, and it angers me a little bit, why, when you actually know the answer, when I say you, I'm on about people listening to this and watching this, when you actually know what the fucking answer is, do you keep going and giving your money to any of these people that are telling you it's not what we already know is the answer? I don't get that bit, and it's frustrating sometimes.
I think it just sort of smacks to the human condition a little bit, doesn't it? That we know what the answer is, but we want there to be an easy way. I think people are fundamentally lazy, and we work hard because we have to, but as soon as you can revert to sitting on your ass or lying on the couch, you do. And if someone promises you that there's this easy way to get to something, then you take it. You want to take it. So I see why people do it, but I just think you're right. There's an obsession with it, which is actually moving too far, which is interesting. But so how did you?
I read a stat.
Sorry.
I just tell you this real quick. Sorry,
Yeah.
I read a stat. I listened to a stat this morning on the news, on the radio, and it said during lockdown, 55% of people's time during lockdown was spent watching Netflix or YouTube content. Like, they've done some study. Mm-hmm. And that blew my mind, because I bet a lot of those people would have been watching videos on how to become financially free, how to become a millionaire, how to start your own business up. It's like, I'll say this. You might ask me about my business like later on, but I grew and sold my business. It sold for £8 million in 2017. Do you want to know a secret? I had never heard of Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, Dan Locke, Ty Lopez. I had never heard or seen a single thing that they'd ever put out on the internet until after I had done these things. Do you know why? I was too busy actually spending time trying to run, grow, and scale my business. It's like, if you're stuck there for 3 hours watching gym motivation videos, you've got a problem.
You're not in the gym.
Exactly. It's like, just spend that time you are watching all this bullshit and just go and do something, working towards that goal that you want. And you will always be better off, I find. And I hate sayings like, because I get the principle, but it's a misunderstanding of language, really. Work smart, not hard. It's work fucking hard at the smart stuff. It's like hard work at smart objectives. That's what it is. But like, people are like, I'm just working smart. If that's one, the tree. If I had 4 hours to cut down a tree, I'd sharpen the axe for 3 hours. I could fucking chop down a tree with a blunt axe in 3 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're chopping the tree down wrong if it takes you that length of time. Yeah.
Yeah, but it needs to stop at some point. And the fact that you keep looking for shortcuts and keep looking for the next thing, and especially in a field that you have absolutely no idea about or experience in. So take the VA. well, no, not even the VA. Let's take someone that's working in a normal business and they hate, and it could be anyone. I'm a recruiter here. I earn 20 grand. I'm a recruiter and I hate my boss. I want to run my own business. But instead of going working in recruitment, which would be the logical thing to do, I then go and sign up to Caleb's Forex trading or dropshipping thing. And I'm going to become a full-time trader. I'm now learning how to be self-employed, self-motivate myself, which I've never had to do before, and now learn about drop shipping or affiliate marketing or forex trading, which I've got no experience in. So now I've got 2 simultaneous learning curves at the same time. And guess what? The more of them you've got, the more chance you've got of fucking up and failing, because you don't know anything about either thing. You've never had to work for yourself. You don't know about profit, loss, tax, being self-employed.
Yeah.
You know, any of these things. So what hope have you got? It blows my mind, really.
There's I can't remember which old American it was, but it said opportunity often bypasses people because it wears overalls and looks like hard work.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but whoever it was, it doesn't matter. But actually, you've sort of nicely segued into to the next question I had, which is, how did you get into doing this? So, you know, the Contrepreneur and exposing people like that, because it doesn't feel like a business. You just woke up one morning and went, that's my new business. So what's your career background? How did you get to this point?
So I worked in, and this is my biggest tip to anybody that wants to run their own business and possibly be successful, however you deem that. And I'm talking sort of, I talk about success in this way as being able to decide what time you come into work, if you want to leave it, pick the kids up from school, financially be in a position where you can have opportunities to do things that you might not necessarily do. So be successful. I went and worked in startup businesses. I left my easy job in a sort of call center doing something where I didn't really fancy it and it wasn't really interest me at all, and went and worked in a startup business, a new startup business, and saw a business being built pretty much from sort of month 3, month 4. Did that for 2 years, and then I left there to join a startup that was brand new. I'm talking like 3 directors, no employees. I was the first employee, and I went and worked there for 4 years. So I worked in startup businesses for 6 years. By that point, I felt I had a little bit of knowledge to see what worked, what didn't, and I felt confident enough that if I actually set my own business up, I could have a fair crack of it. So I didn't learn this in a course in 90 days. I went and actually got paid a salary to learn about business. And I would be sat in meetings as a normal employee in BT or, I don't know, Matalan or a big company or Mothercare or any of these things that I'd not be able to sit in. I'd be hearing directors talk about profit, loss, marketing strategies, sales tactics. I had to design things. Instead of working in a job where it's very structured on what you do, I'd be doing a bit of everything every day. So I kind of felt like I had an understanding of business. I then realized, what are my expenses every month? It's $2,000 a month. And I thought, well, if I'm going to have a go at this, I really need to save up 6 months worth of money so I don't have to get money in to any idea that I set up. So I saved 12 grand at $1,000 a month. And then as soon as my account hit £12,000, I handed in my notice that day. I had a baby on the way. My baby was coming in 2 weeks. 29 years old, I had 12 grand, and I knew I had 6 months to make whatever the fuck I was going to do. I didn't even know what it was going to be at this point. Work. That was it. So I came home at 10:15. Wife was expecting a baby at the time. And I said, I have quit. And at that time, I was earning £70,000 a year. So it was like $4.5 grand after tax. So it was the best I'd ever been paid at that point. And she was like, what are you doing? And I said, I just feel like I can do this myself. I don't know why I'm now building somebody else's business when I've seen how it works. I kind of feel confident enough in my ability that I could have a fair crack at this, and I'm in a position where I don't have to panic for 6 months. And then I was looking for jobs. I didn't want to work in the same sector that I just worked in because I didn't want to hassle with my old business. And I noticed that lots of jobs online on the jobs boards would say you need to be able to work well in the team, you need to communicate effectively, you need to be able to, your time management needs to be good. Like just 3 examples. And I thought, this is really interesting. Every single job, about 95% of all the job specs that I read included these skills, but you can't have a GCSE in time management or an A-level in time management. So I just thought, like, where would you go to like get these qualifications? I looked online, and it was all like e-learning modules, like death by PowerPoint, multiple choice. You know, to do a 4-hour time management course kind of like blew my mind. And I just had the idea, if I want to find anything out in real life, I would go on YouTube and Google it. I'd either Google it or go on YouTube and watch a video. So you tell me how to set my Sky Digital box in 90 seconds. Boom, put the YouTube video on, copy. How do you change your background on your phone? YouTube video on, do it. I don't know if you learn like that. That's how I learned loads of things. So why on earth, when we're at work, the work tell us to do, here's your working from heights course, and it's a 4-hour course of clicking next. It made no sense to me. So I just thought, shit, this industry and sector is so underserviced with such a poor product, and it's shoehorning a way that we learn that doesn't sit naturally to us. We are now the mobile phone generation, so why aren't we being taught, here's one time management skill in 60 seconds, here's one time management skill in 90 seconds, here's working from heights in 2 minutes. Boom. There's my idea. Shit, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Let's go and find people that can. So then me and 3 of my friends, one that had a training company, one that wrote training courses, and one that was an animator, all got together and we thought, right, why don't we just go and make actual, real quality training for employees in businesses? So it's like, that was the idea basically. And then we looked at it and we thought, this industry is so fucked in terms of how they work. They price per head for a digital product, which didn't make any sense to me. It doesn't cost me more whether you've got 100 staff or 150 staff. So why pretend like it does? So we just went in and said, why don't we just rip up the rules and all the things that we think is wrong with the industry and just make a company that I would want to do business with. So I don't want to be tied into a 4-year contract, but I like Netflix, cancel any time. So why don't we make access to this content on a monthly rolling contract? No one else did that in the industry. So we did that. I don't want to have to pay if something new comes out, but my staff need to get trained on it. You know, why would I? Like, you know, if the government changed the rules on, and here's an example that did, by the way, mobile phones went up to 6 points on your license and a bigger fine. Oh, well, now I'm a fleet driver. I need to put all my drivers through this training course. Why should I have to pay another 1,500 quid or £2,000? So we just said, we'll just make content every week and we'll release it free to all of our customers. So very much like Netflix is the best way to describe it. The Netflix of learning. Built that, but I didn't want to be known as Mr. E-Learning Boy or anything like that. So I wasn't. So it was a 3-year plan. I wanted money to be able to do what I wanted to do. So the plan was, we are going to sell this business in 3 years on a set date for £10 million. That was the plan. And we sold it 2.5 years later for £8 million. And we didn't have to do a workout. So job done was in 2.5 years. Brilliant. So now I've got experience of working in startups. And this is the biggest thing that annoyed me. When I finished, a lot of people say, oh, so you did get rich quick. It was only 2.5 years. No, doing the thing was 2.5 years. But there was 6 years worth of learning to get me to that point where I actually thought I might have a chance. And it was only a chance. And this is the biggest thing that bothers me. And this is how I ended up doing this, what I do now. I would go to these events and I would listen to people that have never done the thing that they've achieved, selling you a course on how to do that thing that they've achieved. And I thought I could genuinely be on stage here selling a course for how to grow, to start a business, grow, scale, and sell your business for £8 million in 2.5 years because I've actually done it. But the reality is there is no 60-point step-by-step process to do this because there's so many things outside of your control that you can't replicate in a course, and I'm not a prick. So, like, yes, we did manage to achieve the thing that we wanted to, but that was because there was a company in America that was acquiring businesses at that time, which I can't guarantee would happen to you in 2.5 years' time. The industry was different. It was underserviced at that time. So we were one of the first doing what we did in that sector. If I'm selling you a course in that sector and you're one of 1,000 people that's just bought it, guess what? There's now 1,000 people doing what you're doing in that sector. There's so many variables outside your control. And I don't want this to sound like I'm negative all the time, because I'm not. And yes, I'm an example of someone that has done this, but luck is also a tiny part of success that many successful people don't want to acknowledge, or don't want you to know, because they want it to sound like they're some amazing business mind. I was also lucky. Now, I did a lot of things that improved my chances of the luck and meant I was in a position to capitalize on the luck. But the reality is, I was lucky that someone valued that business at the value that we wanted, or close to the value that we wanted, number one. We were lucky that there was a business that was acquiring business at the time. Like, even if I followed step by step the exact same thing right now, starting today for the next 2.5 years with my current business, without that element of luck, I cannot guarantee any results. And that's me. I can't even guarantee my own results of following my own process. And that's me knowing that I've got the business acumen, the experience, and knowledge of already doing it. I can't even do it myself. So how the fuck can I be still on stage teaching Karen, who is a VA in Coventry, that works 9 to 3? How can I tell her how to get an £8 million business? It makes no sense. It makes no logical sense to me. Yet I could quite easily do that, because number one, I've actually achieved the thing which puts me head and shoulders above most of these people selling these courses. And I understand that formula so well, I could put together probably the best Contrepreneur sales pitch I could clean up. But I don't do it because, number one, it's unethical, and it's not fair, it's not right, and it doesn't work. I'd rather tell people, yes, you can achieve it, but it won't be following these guys, and it will be hard work. If you're still not put off by that, you've now got 100% better chance than any of those idiots that were put off by any of that thing beforehand. So the stats don't lie. 0.2% of the world's population become millionaires. That is 1 in 500 people. Their success rate of these courses, and I'll take property as my example, and this is only involved in property. This isn't financially free. 7%, and it's a genuine stat, 7% of those people that have been to a wealth creation, get rich quick, no money down, and purchase the course, 7% are still involved in property, not financially free, but actually involved in property, as in they might have bought a property, or they've got a property they're trying to sell 12 months later. So only 7% of those that actually have been through the training and are still involved. So I'd love to know what the stats were, but we're actually financially free. The numbers do not lie. And my response is this. If you are online, and that is the question you're asking, how can I become financially free in 90 days? How can I become a millionaire in 6 months? How can I become a millionaire in 12 months? How can I make £1 million in drop shipping? If you're asking any of those questions, the only guarantee I give you is you are not the person that is going to actually achieve those things. You are asking the wrong question. You are only as good as the questions you ask. Now, I would say, if you want to be successful, go and work in a startup business with less than 10 people. Instead of handing over £10,000 a year to get one-to-one mentoring by Mike Winnet, when really I'm shoving you in a Facebook group with 1,000 other idiots like you, and I'll get other idiots that are slightly further along the process than you to give advice, and I've got a one-size-fits-all PDF or module you can all follow, and you're paying me money. Go and work in a startup in the sector you want to work in and your own business. And guess what? They pay you for a better quality of learning, and you're experiencing things. Like, that is it. Go and work 1 year or 2 years, and you will learn more in that and save yourself the hassle. And you can take that with anything. If you want to understand about property, don't give me, Mr. Property Trainer, 12 grand to teach you, hey, you go on Rightmove and find a property, and then you go and use your money as a deposit. Go and buy the cheapest house in your local area that you already know, using that 12 grand as your deposit. Go through that process with your solicitors, real world process. And guess what? In 12 months' time, you can then decide, is this too much hassle? Can I be asked for this? And if the answer is yes, sell that house for pretty much what you bought it for, and you've got a year's worth of genuine learning that's not cost you anything, rather than pay me, Mr. Shady Property Trainer, 12 grand, and then have to find more money off people to actually do the investment bit. It makes no sense.
Yeah. No, good advice. Good advice. I mean, I'm a couple of years into running my own business now, and I couldn't have done it when I was 20, 21. I'm 40 now, and I just think if I'd have been doing it when I was 20, I'd have just been making every mistake under the sun. I worked in agencies and, helped run them, and you learn so much. But
yeah, you look good for 40.
Oh, mate, it's the face cream. That's all it is. And I've added a filter on Zoom. That's all. So YouTube, we've got something in common on YouTube. We've both got 54-ish subscribers. The difference is yours is 54,000. Mine is just 54. So I'm on an early trajectory and an early path of building. But so that I think you said on one of the videos that puts you in the top 10% of YouTubers worldwide or something.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know this. It was Roberto Blake. He's a good guy. You should follow him as well. If you've got a YouTube channel, he sort of breaks it down on how to grow your channel. But he told me that 90% of YouTube channels, which again, like most people wouldn't know, never get more than 10,000 subscribers ever, like in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. Whereas my kids look and think, if you've not got 1 million subscribers, you're unsuccessful on YouTube. And this is all my stuff is really. It's just altering people's reality of what's been good. If you get 10,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel, you are now in the top 10% of worldwide YouTubers. Like, that is an amazing achievement.
Yeah.
Yet I thought I was unsuccessful when I had 30,000. I was thinking, oh, this is shit. And because my expectations were so warped. And like I was saying to you there, it's that distortion of what we start to think is acceptable, or what we think is normal, or what we think is achievable. Like, I wanted 100,000. I was thinking I need to get to 100,000 before I even consider myself as, I've done a good job on this platform. Mm-hmm. But it's mad, really. As soon as you start, I look at that and I'm thinking, I'm quite proud of the fact that I've got like 54,000. I've done that within like 18 months, 2 years.
Yeah, it's huge. And has it been a steady growth curve? What's been behind it? And also, do you feel under any pressure to change what you're doing now to keep that growth going?
It's so mad, and this is like, I'm probably not the best person to talk to about YouTube, because I consider myself a business person that's got a YouTube channel. I don't consider myself a YouTuber, so I make content that interests me, and that's the only sort of I don't know what you call it, like criteria for my content. I don't really think, well, if I do this content and use that as the title, that will bring in more followers. I'm not really asked. I'd rather be a cult classic than a bestseller, if that makes sense. That's more important to me, where I'm not asked about the growth thing. But in terms of the actual growth, most of my growth happened in July and August of 2019. For whatever reason, and again, it was like lightning in a bottle, whatever you call it. It was one video had 22,000 views on it, the Contrepreneur Formula video, and it was 4 months old. And I do not know what happened, but I woke up one day and there was another 10,000 views on that video overnight. So when you've only had 22,000 views on a video in 4 months, and then you get 10,000 views in one day, I was like, what's going on here? That video for 2 weeks brought in 14,000 subscribers, and I don't know what happened. It must have been picked up by the algorithm somewhere, but I don't know what it was that set it off. There was nothing changed with the video, and that video then went from like 22,000 to 220,000 views over that time. It was just hammering through, and it was doing 10,000 views, 1,000 subscribers every day.
Which was about the time I think I was one of those 10,000 or one of those one. It'd have been about this time.
So it must have gone in people's recommended list. But the mad thing was, weirdly, then it got shut down in August, and my channel's never really recovered to the same rate. Now I average about. Can you hear all that banging, by the way?
Yeah, there's a little bit going on in the background. I'm gonna have to see if I can run it through a filter to get it out, but it's fine. It's a real interview. It's fine.
Yeah, building work going on. So now my channel runs at between about 90 and 100 new subscribers every day, sometimes down at about 50. But they were the glory days. And weirdly, that week on the Contrepreneur Formula video, I made $2,600 in 1 week. And that is the highest earning week I've ever had. My channel averages less than that a month, even now. With 50-odd thousand subscribers, it earns about $1,300 a month. Dollars, not pounds. But yeah, so the growth hasn't, it's consistent, but it's consistently lower than the peak. But again, I don't look into that too much. I don't whinge about it. It's just, that was just the reality. And again, I can't tell you the secret to it. It was just whatever happened, the algorithm liked me that for that time period. And
that
now
video...
I know which content would do better.
Sorry.
Like now I know which content would do better, but I stay clear of it because it brings a lot of hassle. I know if I did a video that said, I don't know, if I do a video with Brian Rose's name in, or Dan Locke's name, or anyone, JT Fox or Grant Cardone.
Take the sleeves off your Barcelona top.
Yeah, but I know that would do really, really well, but I don't want to go down that route, if I'm honest. I do it if I think something's funny and it's worth taking the piss out of, but I don't want it to be a hatchet job on these people. I'd rather expose the process, the formula, and the unethical methods that they use rather than attack individuals, because I want my audience to identify the tactics and be able to apply it to anybody that's using them, rather than, hey, Grant Cardone's a big scammer. It's like, all right, well, what about all the Grant Cardone copycats? Like, there's also scammers, but you won't think they're scammers because I've not said. And equally as well, by the way, this is one thing I don't like about YouTube or the internet, or even my fans. It sounds horrible now. Like, I get messages all the time. Is this guy a scammer? It's like, no, stop looking for an answer. Like, I don't want to be the person that you look up to and has to answer for you either. Like, I'm trying to teach you or show you to think critically for yourself. Like, you're doing the very same thing that I'm taking the piss out of you for. Stop looking for shortcuts. Why are you asking me to be a shortcut now? Like, you know, if you're asking the question, you already know. If you're saying, hey, is Caleb or is Chad or is Kane, whatever, are these all scammers? It's like, well, the fact that you're asking, you already know the answer. You're not saying that Jeff Bezos is a scammer.
Yeah.
You're not saying is, you know, Elon Musk a scammer. Like, you already know the answers here. So.
And what you mentioned, this hassle comes with some of these videos, and you've had some. You talked about the Contrepreneur Formula videos being re-uploaded a couple of times. What sort of shitty tactics have people sort of thrown your way because of these videos?
So a lot of the time, the gurus especially, so they obviously they have loads of dummy accounts, and you can see them on their channels. By the way, there's a lot of trainers that have got, or 2 million, 1 million, 500,000 subscribers, but they're getting 10, 20,000 views on the videos. That means they've bought subscribers, by the way. If I'm doing more views with only 50,000 subs, you know, you've not got 2 million subs. But again, it's all, and then if you look at all the dummy accounts, they've all been set up in a month and they've only ever made one comment. There's loads of like telltale signs for their digital marketing scams and stuff. But I've had my address posted online. I've had my kids' names and what school they go to online. I've been sent death threats from Scientologists in America, which sometimes sounds funny, but depending on what mood you're in, and what week you've had, but very much like you being like falling victim to some of these scams, equally how you react to them. I get people saying that I'm a contrepreneur now, which is mad because I don't even have a website. I don't even sell a product. I'm not making anyone promises saying I'm going to get rich quick. So you're doing the same thing. How am I doing the same thing? I've never run an event. I've never done a targeted ad. I don't even say you would get rich quick team. But you get people that are fans of their gurus that aren't financially free, by the way, that then still attack you to say, no, you're just a hater and all these things. I'm not a hater. Like, I love business. I love people making money. I love successful business people. I just don't like pricks that are unethical stuff. But, so yeah, there's that. I've had copyright strikes. I've had legal letters from solicitors in the UK. I've been threatened with going to court in San Francisco. Loads. But the mad thing is, a lot of these gurus that do this to me now, 6 months ago, were laughing, thinking it was funny. But now I've finally got a little bit of an audience and people seem to be paying more attention. And there's more people like me doing this, by the way, which I think is a good thing. they're now threatening me. But I think the difference with me is, because I'm investing in these things, which I've not really mentioned, but because I'm actually taking my money and investing in some of these assets that these gurus talk about, and then revealing my real results, and I've got a legit business, and I'm deemed successful in like a lot of people's eyes, in terms of, you know, I had a business and sold a business. When it comes to the crunch and they threaten me with legal action, I'm comfortable with that. It's like, go on then. And most of them disappear. Most, not all, but most of them do. And that's where it's different, because if I'm just reporting my actual experience and my real results, that's not defamation. That is me saying, hey, I've done crypto mining. I spent £30,000 on a crypto mining rig and crypto mining course. And guess what? I only made £600 that year rather than the £900 a month that you promised me. What are you threatening me with?
Yeah.
I am just a guy reporting it. I'm just a real testimonial. And you can't take me to court for that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why most of them threaten stuff. And when it comes to the crunch, I've won every single one so far. But it's hassle and I don't make money from it. So I sometimes think, is it worth it? I had one recently with a property training company, not the one that most people are probably thinking about. I'll try and describe them without saying the name. They're very forward thinking. If there was only a word that describes something that was progressively moving forward, property training, and they got a video of mine removed. But then I got that case overturned because we never mentioned your company. But the fact that now on my YouTube video it says who made the copyright strike and got the video removed, in a video that never mentioned anybody's names, you've identified that's what you do in your business. So you must have recognized these. If you don't do these things, it's not about you. And I always say this, if anyone thinks that my Contrepreneur formula is about them, you recognize yourself in the formula. So the answer is yes, it is about you.
Yeah.
Because I know marketers that are happy with what I do. It's the ones that aren't. It's like, why aren't you happy about it? So you think it's fine, cool. So you think unethical, fake testimonials is fine. That says more about you than me. So, but yeah, so I got a rather forward-thinking property company that got one of my videos removed. Everyone then knew who the video was about, because if you read the comments, most people were saying different companies anyway. And then I got the video put back on anyway in like 3 weeks' time. It just stunts your growth for like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and kills it.
So I think you're right in that point. Like if you recognize yourself in it, it's you who has the problem, because you're the one moving into that area. It's not you for highlighting that. It's actually, it's an internal thing you need to do. But we're back to that human condition, aren't we? We always look to blame somebody else for our own problems.
Yeah, exactly. And I get a lot of stuff now. I get a lot of scrutiny. And it's really, I only did this to try and help people. Really, I did this to help myself. I was going stir crazy being at home, because part of my sale was, and again, just as a strange sort of tangent to go off at. So when I sold my business, they paid me not to work for 2 years, because that's how real business works. You don't teach people your secrets, and you don't invite competition to your business sector. A business bought me and then said, but we do not want you doing anything in our sector for 2 years, and we will pay you millions of pounds not to do that. Rather than, hey, I'm Mike Winnet and I've got the Warrington property sourcing course. I'm going to teach 100,000 people in my local town how to source properties. Well, if I made money from sourcing properties, guess what? I wouldn't be telling 100,000 people how to do it.
You want nobody else doing it.
That isn't how business works.
Yeah.
Because that isn't how business works. So, it's just a mad thing that's the sort of reality of how real business works. Yet these courses are teaching people to become competitors with you, and they use it. Oh, it's joint ventures, collaboration's amazing, and all that stuff. Collaboration isn't a real thing in real business. Most of the time.
Yeah. So tell us, we're sort of coming towards the end, so I want to give you a chance to give it a big sell for I Am Productions, because I think you do more than just making pithy videos about people trying to rob you of your money online. So what do I Am Productions do? What sort of customer would you like picking up the phone or banging on your door to say, I want to come in?
Yes, so it's a strange one, really. So we only started doing this due to lockdown, because I couldn't make my own content during lockdown. And I on LinkedIn, I've got like a decent following. There's a lot of people there that wanted to work through lockdown and still wanted to advertise their business and market. And there was a lot of, I don't know if you saw it, there was a lot of hate online at the moment. Like, it's immoral to be still selling during lockdown or during COVID. There was a lot of that. And it's like, well, why? Because like, just because you're furloughed, because you're in a position where your salary is paid by someone, there's a lot of business owners out there that don't, and like, they couldn't be furloughed. And I was one of them people, by the way. I couldn't be furloughed.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so we went, well, why we can't make my own content? We've still got the video editing team in place. We've still got the graphic designers, the animators. Why don't we just ask a few people on LinkedIn whether they want us to make videos for them? So they would self-shoot their content, send it to us. We'd make it all look good, edit it, animate it in like the Mike Winnet style. So if you like that type of content, we could sort of mimic that for your style. We did that, and we did quite well in terms of those. We had a few customers. So then all we've started to do now is offer that, but now we're a really thought out process. So you might come to us and say, I want to, here's my ideal client avatar. I want to speak to them, and we will help you create content for your client avatar to use like sort of on social media or on LinkedIn, mainly LinkedIn, to be honest. There's that. And then weirdly, I used to use a studio in Warrington to film podcasts. I couldn't go into his podcast because of lockdown. So I just thought, why don't I just build my own podcast studio? I've not got anything else to do. And that is what you can hear today. That is them next door building a podcast studio. Yeah. So now we will also do podcast productions. If anyone wants to come and like have their podcast produced by us, they can come in. We've got the studio set up. We can film it, record it. We can edit it for them and offer sort of podcast management solutions as well. So really, we've accidentally got a sort of branding and marketing business, I suppose, due to lockdown. But that wasn't the plan. This isn't the sort of the long-term plan. It doesn't tick enough of the boxes in terms of what I would advise anybody to get in the business of doing, you know. It's nothing like my old business. It's just, we did it because we had to. It ended up working, and we've now got quite a loyal customer base that want us to do more and more things for them. So it just made sense just to carry on doing it. So that is Iron Productions, really.
Good, excellent. Oh, sounds interesting. I'm in Liverpool, just down the road at the minute. Although I do spend half my life in Belfast as well, so I might pop in and have a look at your studio at one point once it's finished. And
yeah, do you know what's the maddest thing? We actually thought, weirdly, there's place like this in Liverpool, there's a place like this in Manchester, but you know, I'm a Warrington boy. There's probably 20 or 30 people in Warrington that couldn't be asked traveling to Manchester and paying Manchester prices, or Liverpool and paying Liverpool prices. So if we can just be, I know it sounds mad and I sound like proper, I want world domination. No, I just want 20 local businesses in Warrington. And this is going back to the question that you asked me, I suppose, is what type of person would I want to work with us? I like real business people, not life coaches that don't know what they want to do. I like real business people. If you are a guy that's got a garage that does driveway changing tires, and you have got, I like working with you because I can really make a difference to your business and put out content that will benefit your business, and you've got a tangible return on investment. I like those types of people that it's very clear who they are, what they do, and they're a little bit too, I'm using an example of someone that I've done some work for. Basically, his business is great, his branding's so strong, just not enough people see him online because he's a little bit older, and he's like, oh, I can't be asked with that Instagram thing, or I can't be asked with LinkedIn. LinkedIn's just for CVs. It's like, I can show you how we can get you on LinkedIn and getting warm leads, hot leads into your business every day. Not some hack, not some, this is genuine giving value to your target audience. So that is, I like working with people like him. And we put out a video, he gets 10 new customers. It's very clear to show him where we're improving his business and his growth. No overestimating what the returns you're going to get, no sort of hiding it and being all woo-woo. It's a simple decision of, you do this, you make this. That's it.
Yeah.
I like working with them people. Then equally, I get loads of life coaches. I get so many entrepreneurs asking me if I work with them, and I refuse, and they get arsey. because I think they want like the seal of approval, or I've passed the Contrepreneur test, I'm not like the others. And sometimes they get asked that, and I say no to more people than I say yes to in terms of work, which, by the way, is a great position to be in. But I was also like that when I didn't have a lot of clients. It's just a case of, if I don't like you, or I don't like what you're about, or I don't believe in what you're trying to sell, or I don't think I can add any value to you, number one, I don't want to work with someone I don't want to work with or don't like. Take the money out of the equation. If they're bellends, they're bellends. Just don't work with them. So that's why I like working with people that sound salt of the earth, working class, and someone that I can actually help rather than help everyone. I'd rather help 10 people than promise 1,000 people results they're not going to get.
Yeah, you could always sell the Contrepreneurs an info product when they come to you, and see if you can get them to buy something for $397 first, and then
that's one thing someone said to me. Why don't you sell how to spot a Contrepreneur course? I was like, that's the ultimate sort of like long play, isn't it? Like, oh, by the way, for $1997, how to spot a Contrepreneur.
Yeah, brilliant. That's the answer. Let's do it. So my last two questions for you, because I'm aware I've taken up a lot of your time, Mike. But who do you watch? Do you read? What podcasts do you listen to? Where do you go for your information? What would you recommend to the listeners?
It's so mad. This sounds like I make up. I honestly don't listen to much. I don't. It's if I'm interested in something, I then go and find stuff. Like if something piques my interest, I'll then go and research that topic. And that can be books or videos, YouTube videos, whatever it might be. That's how I usually work. I listen to the Tim Ferriss podcast and listen to everything that he says. But it's like if Tim Ferriss has got someone that I'm interested in on his podcast, I might listen to that. So it sounds proper up my own arse here, but I watch my own stuff to see where I've fucked up and where I can improve. And there's no go-to place. But I will say there's one book that changed my outlook on money, I suppose. And it's not even it's just called The Rules of Wealth by Richard Templar. And I had that book, I think it was 2009 or 2006, whatever. But I've had that book for about 11 years, 12 years.
Yep.
The version I've got is only 100 rules, and it literally is just 100 things about money, and you kind of like work through it, and it's like understanding your outgoings, understanding your ingoings, understanding different real basic shit. But you can only read it to a certain point, and then you can't go any further until you've kind of got to that stage in your life. I've read that book every year for the last sort of 11, 12 years, and I think that is the book that made me believe in myself and be successful, because I got the basics and fundamentals right long before I was in a position to use them, if that even makes sense. So that is the one book I would advise that people sort of got and read. I wish I had an affiliate link for it, because I mention it all the time.
Well, funnily enough, I put all the links. There's a reading list page on the website where all the books everyone recommends. And yes, there are affiliate links in there. And right at the top, it says this page is dripping with affiliate links. I think so far I've made about £1.96 in revenue.
What about that is, I think people, and again, you might know better than me, but I think people appreciate that more. Like, we're not stupid anymore. Like, if it's an affiliate link, cool. What I don't like is where I read something, I think it's an honest, unbiased review, and then it's got all the affiliate links in it, and then I think, what are you wasting my time for? That's why I started making my content, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and that page is there, and I have considered stripping the affiliate links out of it, but I thought, look, it's there. It says it at the top. People appreciate it, and the recommendations are just books people say on the podcast. There's nothing on that page to make money. It's there because it's a link from what people have said. So
what about you? I'll flip that back to you. Do you actually like consume other people's podcasts and stuff like that?
I'm like you with podcasts. I listen to someone go, oh, so-and-so's a guest on that. I listen to that podcast. I'm not a regular listener. Yeah. Same with YouTube. I kind of dive into some of your videos, and there's some like the crypto mining thing. I was like, I just have no interest in crypto at all. I haven't watched it. Even as research for this interview, I was like, no, I can't be asked watching it. I'll rewatch something again. So podcasts and YouTube, I think I'm just as you are, just slightly of the generation where YouTube's the thing you dip into as opposed to
100%. I don't subscribe to anyone's channel. I know it sounds mad. Yeah, I'll go and search something. I'll type it in the search bar. It's a weird thing. I go and find what I want and what I need rather than maybe I'm I've convinced myself that I'm not being controlled, or you've got to go on YouTube and watch it. It's like I kind of feel it's more on my time. And I like that with social media, really. I don't follow anyone on Twitter. I don't follow anyone on Instagram. I honestly do not care what other people are doing unless I want to go and find out what other people are doing. I know it's like a weird thing, and I kind of feel that's helped me in business, because it's too much noise out there. It's too distracting.
I've just recently, my lockdown thing, I've cut the notifications for Facebook. I just killed them, turned them off entirely. Still have it, still dip in and have a look, but just that freeing myself from the tyranny of Facebook notifications has been brilliant. Not having to listen to people spouting conspiracy theories about Bill Gates controlling people's minds, the sort of undercurrent of racism from people who you used to go to school with about certain things. And I just get rid of this shit. I still want to see when somebody I know's had a baby, but that's it. That's all I'm really interested in.
An interesting thing you've said there. So I've never had Facebook before, and I never had it, like, even being younger and whatever. But most arguments I used to hear in the office when I used to work was, so-and-so did this on Facebook, or so-and-so said this on Facebook. And I used to think, like, why are you on there, number one? But equally, when I used to meet my mates, I used to like the fact that they'd tell me about what they've been up to. Like, I hadn't seen it, I didn't know. But then when I'm in a few WhatsApp groups, especially like with football and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wish I didn't see I wish they weren't on tap, because sometimes I feel disappointed. Like, I think, I thought you were sound, and now you've said that, and I realize you're actually just a bit of a prick. But if I hadn't read that, I could still happily spend an hour with you once a week or twice a week. It's a weird kind of, the more exposed you are to people, the more people let you down, if that makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah, it could. But I mean, I would say there's also the other side of that. There's people who I maybe didn't know quite as well and have seen the way they've handled some situations on social media, or jumped in and tried to diffuse. And you go, I never thought of that person in that light before. So, but I do absolutely see people who you thought were cool, and then you go, you're just a bit of a dick.
I'll say one thing as well, by the way. Just there is one podcast that I've actually been on, and I think he's really got a good podcast. It's Modern Wisdom. It's the podcast, and it's by Chris Williamson.
Chris Williamson, yes. Yeah. Chris Williamson, yeah.
He's such a switched-on lad and smart lad. But do you know what's mad about him? He went on Love Island. He was like the first person ever on Love Island. And if you've ever got an idea of what you think someone that goes on Love Island is like, he is the complete opposite. It's like, it blows my mind that he went on Love Island. And if you see his podcast, you'll think, how did that even happen? It's like, especially now, he went on. Do you know what I mean? It's an interesting fella.
And look, it's a big, beautiful man as well, which is probably why he ended up on Love Island. But another guy I've interviewed for this, we had to re-record it because the audio didn't record. But a guy called Simon Machunka, he's the commercial director of the biggest radio group in Dublin. I went to school with him, and he's a mate of Chris's. And he introduced me to Modern Wisdom. He said, you've got to listen to this podcast. It's great. And some real diverse subject matter of different people talking about different things. But I thought he had a brilliant style.
But
really,
it's the same
really
thing. He uses that. I use my podcast. I don't know about you. So, like, let's be honest. And this is probably the only thing that I think a podcast is good for. Maybe I shouldn't say this, as I've got a podcast next door. But like, I'm not really a networker. Like, I don't go to these events. I don't go to these people. Yet, I would never be able to get the CEO of a business to talk to me for 90 minutes about the intricacies of their business and their business advice and their tips and their experiences in any other setting, apart from the fact that I've got a podcast. So in a weird way, like me now, we would never have had this conversation if this wasn't going out as a podcast. The chance of us actually doing this conversation would never happen. So in a weird way, we've now met, we've now spoke, we'll probably keep in touch. You'll probably ask me questions in the future. I'll probably ask you questions. It's a weird way of almost getting that one-to-one time with, I'll use an example as business, like someone in marketing, or like an expert marketer, an expert business person, or like it's kind of like mentoring light in a weird way. So it's like the networking and opportunities it's opened to me has been huge. If you're thinking of a podcast to make money or the views or get famous, I think you're probably going to be disappointed. So as long as you realize what it's worth, and that's why I like Chris's, it's eclectic, it's so diverse. He's talking to people that he genuinely is interested in and just wants to speak to. And I think that's why I like his podcast the most, really. It's really, you're listening to his conversation with somebody else. He's not thinking of you as the audience. And I like that more than
Yeah.
or that guy's, it's just a sales pitch for whatever they're trying to promote. I don't like those types of podcasts. That's why I probably like Chris's.
I was very clear when I set out to do this. You see and you hear a whole raft of podcasts where people set out and they'll be going, so I do a lot with marketing agencies. And what they do is then they just invite people who run marketing agencies onto the podcast with that little bit of, let me tell you how brilliant I am. And then they follow up and try and sell that person something. I was like, I'm not doing that shit. I'm interviewing people who are interesting and who do great things, and not to sell them stuff. You know, I had the brand director for MailChimp on. MailChimp don't ever want to work or ever need to work with me. But I wanted to talk to him because I thought I was going to learn something from him. And I did. I learned loads from talking to him. It was brilliant. Yeah. So, you know, that's the approach. You bring people on who are interesting. And for me, it's an awareness thing for the business. But bring people on who are interested and ask them good questions. That's it. Yeah. You know, that's the plan. But in terms of naming podcasts, so this is the strategy sessions. Chris's is Modern Wisdom. Your name kind of beats, you know, knocks them all into a cocktail. What's your podcast called?
Not Another Dickhead with a Podcast.
Brilliant. Love it.
That was a joke as well. It was just because everyone seemed to have one. So I was just like, oh, well, you can't beat him, join him.
That's what men of our age do, though, isn't it? Once you get over 30 now, you've got to have a podcast. That's the thing, I think. So, brilliant. Well, look, my last question that I ask everyone on the podcast is, what question were you expecting me to ask that I didn't?
That one.
Ah, you bastard.
Easy answer.
Brilliant. Listen, Mike, thank you very much for your time. That's been brilliant. If you haven't, I think because it's a YouTube video, you have to do this. So hit the subscribe button and smash that bell so you get notifications. Do it on Mike's channel because you'll have more fun than watching mine. But yeah, Mike, thank you very much for your time. Cheers.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
All right. So there you have it. Mike Winnet, I'm really fascinated by some of the stuff we talked about there. The Contrepreneur formula, do watch the video, 25, 30 minutes. It's well worth watching and you'll probably learn quite a lot from it. Not in terms of how you use that formula to be an underhand marketer to roll out shady tactics. A lot of the tactics, as we discussed in there, are perfectly legitimate. They are very good tactics to use. I personally think that the formula and the way the Contrepreneurs put these things together, there's a lot to learn for certain types of marketing from them. Definitely a lot to learn. But ethics has got to be part of what you do. If your product, if your service isn't there, if it's not very good, if you don't believe in it, then you really shouldn't be trying to stack those things and give people their value in that sort of way. But I found it really interesting as well that, you know, Mike's been putting these videos out now and the heat that he's getting from it. People posting where his kids go to school and where he lives and stuff like that. That's a step beyond just asking for takedown videos on YouTube, which I don't agree with anyway, right? If you are, there's an old thing in PR, I think it is, they call it the Daily Mirror test, or maybe it's the Daily Mail test, I don't know. It's like, if what you were doing was on the front page of the Daily Mirror, would you be embarrassed by it? Right? And it's the same thing with what Mike's doing. If you are so embarrassed about the videos he's making that you want to request them to be taken down, you're looking at the wrong thing. You should be looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, but if I'm embarrassed by the way that this is put together and what I'm doing, maybe I should really consider doing something different. And that's what I would say to that. So, yeah, I think it's a bit underhand what's happening to him. I think it's not great. And look, he makes good content. People watch it because it's fun. They watch it because he tackles it in a really interesting way. So go and give his channel a like and do let me know what you think. Next time we are back with the strategy sessions. I think I might have promised this on the last episode, but it's the interview with Channel 4's Chief Marketing Officer, Zaid Al-Kassab. So do come back in 2 weeks' time for that. Last word to Moyee Coffee. Thank you very much to them again. MOYEE coffee.ie or .co.uk. Please do check them out. Until next time, thank you very much.